Welcome to the deep dive. We take your source material and really try to unpack the most important, surprising, and useful insights.
And today, we're diving into some excerpts from Joseph Nguyen's book, Don't Believe Everything You Think. The subtitle kind of says it all. Why Your Thinking is the Beginning and End of Suffering.
Yeah, it's a bold claim. So our mission here is to really get into the heart of his argument, right? What he sees as the single root cause of all our psychological, our emotional suffering.
Exactly. And crucially, how understanding this one thing might actually, transform how you experience life day to day. We'll look at his journey, the key ideas, the principles, and what it means practically.
Okay, let's jump in. It definitely challenges how we usually think about feeling bad.
Right off the bat, he makes this really important distinction. He's not talking about physical pain. Like, you stub your toe, that hurts, that's real.
Right, unavoidable sometimes.
Exactly. He's focused purely on the psychological stuff, the emotional suffering. And his big premise, right out of the gate, is that kind of suffering, well, it's optional.
Optional. Okay, hold on. That sounds, when something bad happens, you feel bad. How can you just choose not to suffer?
It does sound counterintuitive, I know. He brings up that Buddhist idea, the two arrows. Heard of that?
Vaguely, yeah. Remind me.
So the first arrow is the actual painful event. The loss, the criticism, whatever it is, that happens. It's real.
Okay.
The second arrow is our reaction, our judgment, our story about the event. This is terrible. I can't handle this. This always happens to me. That's what causes the suffering, according to Nguyen.
And that's the optional arrow.
That's what he argues. It's not about pretending the first arrow didn't hurt. It's about understanding where the suffering, the second arrow, actually comes from. Because when you see the source, well, it loses its power.
Okay, so where does it come from, according to him? This leads to his main point, right?
Yes. And this was a real, well, an aha moment for me reading this. His core insight is, we don't actually live in reality. We live in the world of our thinking about reality.
Explain that a bit more. We don't live in reality.
Well, reality is just what is, the facts, what's happening. But it's our thoughts about those facts that give them meaning to determine how we feel.
Got an example.
He gives a great one. Picture two people in the same coffee shop, same environment, same time. One person is just peaceful, watching people, enjoying their coffee.
Okay.
The other person, same place, is having a full-blown existential crisis inside their head. Stressed, worried, miserable. The external reality is identical.
But their internal experience, their feelings are totally different because of their thinking.
Exactly. Or think about money. Ask 100 people what money means.
Yeah.
You'll get like nearly 100 different answers, right? Security, stress, freedom, greed.
Yeah, true. It's just paper or numbers, but we load it with meaning.
Or ask about, say, the current president, same person, but the thoughts and feelings that name triggers, wildly different across those 100 people.
So the feeling isn't coming from the person or the money or the coffee shop.
It's coming from our thinking about them, which leads to his big conclusion. You can only ever feel what you are thinking. Your feeling is your thinking, manifested in your body.
Wow. Okay, that shifts things. It puts the power or the source, I guess, back inside us, not out there.
Right. And he uses that thought experiment. Who would you be without the thought that you hated your job?
Ah, yeah, I remember that.
And when you really let yourself feel into that, remove that specific thought, what's left? Often it's peace, freedom, lightness, maybe even happiness.
Just removing the thought changes the feeling.
Which, for him, proves the point. The root cause of all our psychological suffering isn't the job or the person or the situation, it's our thinking about it.
Okay, so if thinking is the problem, the next bit is crucial. He distinguishes between thoughts and thinking, which sounds similar but isn't.
Not in his framework, no. It's a really key distinction. Thoughts, plural, the noun he presents as like the raw material. Mental energy, they just appear.
Pop into your head.
Yeah, effortlessly. Like sparks. He suggests they come from something bigger. The universe, divine intelligence, whatever term works for you. And importantly, these initial thoughts are neutral in themselves. They're just potential.
Potential for what?
For creation. For ideas, insights. He associates them with infinite possibilities. Wholeness, light, love, that feeling of being alive and expansive.
Okay, so thoughts are the neutral, creative sparks. Then what's thinking?
Thinking, the verb, the action, is what we do with those thoughts. It's the act of engaging, analyzing, judging, worrying, ruminating about the thoughts.
Ah, Okay, so the thought itself isn't bad. It's when we grab onto it and start working it over.
Exactly. That's the effortful part. That's where the ego, the personal mind, gets involved. And that, he says, is the source of suffering. It feels heavy, laborious, restrictive. It brings in fear, limitation, that sense of being separate and
So
stress.
the thought, I want to make $1 million, might just pop in, feeling expansive.
Right, like an exciting possibility.
But then the thinking starts. How could I do that? I'm not capable. That's too hard. What if I fail? And that's where the anxiety comes from.
Precisely. The initial thought is creative energy. The thinking about the thought often layers on our limiting beliefs, our conditioning, our fears, and kind of destroys the initial potential. His line is basically, thoughts create, thinking destroys, or limits, anyway.
Okay, that makes sense. And our feelings then become like a signal.
Exactly. Your internal radar.
Yeah.
If you're feeling negative emotions, stress, anxiety, anger, sadness, it's not necessarily because the world is bad. It's a sign that you are caught up in heavy, laborious thinking.
It's an indicator of your internal state, not the external world.
Yes. He even lists attributes side by side. Thoughts from universe, light, expansive, infinite, creative, positive, divine, feel alive, love, infinite possibilities, wholeness, effortless. Thinking from ego, heavy, restrictive, limited, destructive, negative, mortal, hescalony, stressful, fear, confining, separateness, laborious. Seeing it like that really highlights the difference.
Wow, yeah, that's clear. And this leads to another kind of surprising idea, right? Challenging that whole just think positive mantra.
Totally flips it.
Yeah.
He argues you don't need to force positive thoughts to feel positive feelings like joy, love, peace,
You don't. Then how?
because those positive feelings,
Yeah.
they're actually our natural state. They're what's underneath.
Yeah.
We only feel negative emotions when we are actively, laboriously thinking. When that thinking quiets down,
The good feelings just emerge
hmm,
naturally.
that's the idea. Think about a moment you felt pure joy or deep love, like truly in it. Were you actively thinking, I must feel joyful now? This is great.
Probably not. I was just feeling it, maybe thinking, wow, but the feeling was already there.
Right, or maybe there were no thoughts at all, just presence. The feeling often comes first,
Yeah.
or without thought. He uses the baby analogy too.
Yeah, babies, assuming their needs are met.
They're just blissed out, right?
Mm.
Happy, curious, full of love. They aren't thinking themselves into happiness. It's their default setting before all the layers of thinking get built up.
So thinking actually takes us away from our natural state of well-being.
According to this perspective, yes. The more intense the negative feeling, the more intense the thinking usually is. And
Right.
conversely.
The less thinking, the more space for the natural positive feelings.
Exactly. Think of it like a thought-o-meter. Heavy thinking cranks it into the red zone. Stress, burnout. Less thinking lets the needle drop back to green peace, joy, clarity.
So it's not even what we're thinking about sometimes, but just the sheer amount or intensity of the thinking itself that causes the suffering.
That's a core part of his message, yeah. The activity of thinking.
Okay, so how does this all work? What's the underlying mechanism? He talks about the 3 principles, right? From Sydney.
Yes, this is the foundation for how our experience gets created from the inside out. The principles are universal mind, universal consciousness, and universal thought.
Universal mind. What's that?
Think of it as the intelligence behind all life, the energy, the life force in everything. Some call it God, source, infinite intelligence. It's the wisdom that makes acorns grow into oaks, planets stay in orbit, bodies heal themselves.
The unseen organizing principle.
Right. And it's the source from which thoughts, those initial sparks, arise. When our personal mind is quiet, we feel connected to this universal mind, that feeling of wholeness, peace, love. It's the thinking that creates the illusion of being separate from it, the ego.
Okay, mind is the source, the intelligence. What about consciousness?
Universal consciousness is simply the capacity to be aware. It's what allows us to experience anything at all. Without consciousness, you could have thoughts, but you wouldn't perceive them. It's the awareness of existence.
The ability to perceive.
Kind of.
And universal thought.
That's the third piece. Universal thought is the actual stuff we perceive. It takes the formless energy of mind and gives it form, content, meaning through our personal thought system. It's the specific thought or image that consciousness becomes aware of.
He uses an analogy, right? The DVD player.
Yeah, it's helpful. Think of thought as the information on the DVD. Consciousness is like the TV screen and the DVD player, the mechanism that makes the information perceivable. And universal mind is the electricity powering the whole system.
Ah, okay. So the experience looks like it's coming from the screen, the outside world, but it's actually generated by the whole internal system. Mind, thought, consciousness.
Exactly. It's an inside-out creation process.
Which leads us to the million-dollar question. If thinking is the source of suffering, how the heck do we stop it? Is that even the goal?
Good question. And note, he clarifies it's not really about stopping thoughts completely. Thoughts will arise. That's natural, creative. The aim isn't some blank, empty void all the time.
So what is the aim?
It's about minimizing the time and energy we spend caught up in that heavy, repetitive, analytical, suffering-inducing thinking about the thoughts.
Okay, reducing the engagement with them. How?
And here's the paradox, the surprising part.
Mm,
You don't actually have to do much. The primary tool is just awareness.
awareness. How does that help?
Simply becoming aware that you are lost in thought and recognizing in that moment that this thinking is the direct cause of your negative feeling. That awareness itself starts to create distance. You see it for what it is, and it loses some of its grip.
Seeing it allows you to detach a bit.
Exactly. He uses the dirty water analogy. Remember that?
Yeah, the glass of water with sediment.
Right. If it's all stirred up and murky, trying to frantically filter it or scoop out the dirt, that's like fighting your thoughts. It just keeps things agitated.
It's effortful and doesn't really work.
But if you just set the glass down, let it be, what happens?
The dirt settles, the water clears on its own.
Exactly. The dirt is the agitated thinking. The clear water is your natural state of clarity, peace, stress, confusion.
Yeah.
It's just stirred up thinking. Let it settle and clarity returns naturally.
Like the quicksand analogy, too. Fighting it makes you sink.
Letting go allows your natural buoyancy to work. Fighting heavy thinking just amplifies the negative feelings. Letting go, allowing that awareness,
Right.
that allows your inner wisdom and clarity to surface again.
So it's not about forcing the thinking away, but allowing it to settle.
Precisely. And he acknowledges, we're human. We're going to oscillate. We'll get caught in thinking. The goal isn't perfection, never thinking again. It's about shortening the duration we spend stuck there and knowing we can always return to that clearer state.
That sunrise-sunset idea is comforting, too. Peace is always there. It's like the sun.
Even when obscured by the night of our thinking. Just remembering that can bring relief. It hasn't gone anywhere.
Okay, but the practical mind kicks in here. If we're aiming for less thinking, how do we actually function? How do we achieve things, thrive, be successful? Doesn't that require tons of thinking?
It's a common concern. He flips it by asking you to look at times when you were performing at your absolute peak, like really in the zone.
Flow state, yeah.
What was your mental state like then? Were you consciously thinking through every single step, analyzing everything?
Usually not. It felt effortless, automatic almost, like things were just happening through me.
Right. Often in those peak performance states, analytical thinking is minimal, or thoughts are flowing with the action, not directing it laboriously. Overthinking causes hesitation, self-doubt.
He mentions that Japanese concept, mushin.
Yes, mushin, often translated as empty mind or no mind. It's a state prized in martial arts, for example, free from ego, fear, anger, random thoughts, allow you to react spontaneously, perfectly, drawing on your training and intuition.
So non-thinking isn't being spaced out, it's actually a state of high performance.
It can be, yes. It's presented as the state where we're most connected to our deeper wisdom, that universal mind or infinite intelligence. Heavy thinking kind of jams the signal.
And this connects directly to intuition, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Intuition is described as accessing that state of non-thinking, that direct line to your inner wisdom. It's like your internal GPS, giving you real-time guidance.
But it often doesn't make logical sense, right? That's the tricky part.
Exactly. The rational thinking mind, which operates on past data and logic, often dismisses intuition because it can't see the step-by-step proof.
So why don't we follow it more, if it's our inner GPS?
Fear, mostly. Fear of the unknown. Intuition often points us towards something new, something outside our comfort zone, our known reality constructed by past thinking.
And thinking hates the unknown. It wants predictability based on the past.
Precisely. So thinking keeps us stuck, repeating variations of the past. Intuition, accessed through non-thinking, opens the door to genuinely new possibilities, things that might seem impossible from the perspective of the thinking mind. Miracles, even.
So our job isn't to figure out how everything will happen.
According to Nguyen, no. Our job is to get clear on what the desire, the intention, often revealed through intuition or inspiration. The how is orchestrated by that larger intelligence, the universe. We suffer when we try to force the how using our limited, fearful thinking mind.
We need to trust the process, trust the intuition.
Yes. Trust that the next step will be revealed as you take the current step, guided by that inner knowing. Faith is key. Faith in the unseen, the unknown.
How does intuition feel? How do we recognize it?
He describes it as often a quiet voice, a gut feeling, a sense of knowingness. It feels light, expansive, maybe a spontaneous idea that pops in and feels right, even if illogical. It often goes against the grain of purely rational thought. Following it, he argues, leads to flow and abundance.
But acting on it can be scary.
For sure. Fear of the unknown is real. But again, remembering that fear itself is just a product of thinking helps. When the thinking settles, the natural state underneath fear is often courage, clarity, peace.
Okay, so what about goals and dreams? If we're reducing thinking, do we just float around aimlessly?
Not at all. Goals are fine, even encouraged. But it's about where they come from. He makes this crucial distinction between goals born of desperation versus inspiration.
Desperation goals.
Because
These come from thinking.
Yes, from a sense of lack, scarcity, I need this to be okay. They feel heavy, like pressure. Often they're means to an end, wanting the money to feel secure, wanting the promotion to feel worthy. They're based on the past, what seems possible or logical.
Yeah.
They feel confining.
And even if you achieve them, you might still feel empty.
Often, yeah. Because the underlying feeling of lack wasn't addressed. Inspiration goals, however,
Where do those come from?
they arise from that quieter space, from connection to universal mind, from divine thoughts. They feel light, exciting, expansive. They're often ends in themselves you want to create or do it just for the joy of it, the calling.
Like an artist painting or someone starting a project they just feel pulled towards.
Exactly. They feel like something you get to do, not something you have to do. And the positive feeling is there in the pursuit itself, not just deferred to the outcome.
He has that question to help find those, right? The infinite money one.
Yeah, it's a great filter. If you had infinite money, infinite time, no fear, and guaranteed no recognition, what would you do or create? It strips away the thinking-based motivations, lack, fear, ego, to reveal what truly inspires you.
Like clearing a dam. Thinking dams up the natural flow of inspiration.
That's a perfect way to put it. We all have inspired thoughts, especially as kids, but our thinking mind quickly learns to shut them down as impractical or silly.
So less thinking doesn't mean no goals. It means allowing goals to arise from inspiration, not desperation.
Precisely. You become guided by joy and calling, not driven by fear and lack.
Another key idea is creating space. What does he mean by that?
Mental space. Nothingness, essentially. He emphasizes that creation, new ideas, insights, miracles, they arise from this space, this emptiness, like the universe itself arising from nothing.
The empty your cup story comes to mind.
Exactly. The Zen master and the scholar. If your mind, your cup, is already full of old thinking, assumptions, worries, there's no room for anything new to come in.
So non-thinking, letting the mental chatter settle, creates that space.
Yes, it creates the opening for intuition, for fresh perspectives, for those divine downloads he talks about. He points to geniuses and athletes.
Right. They often get their breakthroughs after stepping away, resting, creating space, not by just thinking harder with the same old thoughts.
Edison, napping with steel balls, Einstein playing the violin. They changed their state, created space, and allowed the answers to surface from that deeper intelligence we all have access to.
So we don't have to grind constantly with our analytical mind. We can tap into something bigger by creating space.
Yes, and the process he suggests is quite simple, really. First, awareness. Notice your thinking and it's causing suffering. Second, create space. Consciously let go of trying to figure it out, surrender the how and when, trust your inner wisdom.
And third,
Third, awareness of feelings. Notice the shift as you create space, the relief, the peace. Lean into those feelings. Magnify the love, the joy. Meet any remaining challenges from that state, and the insight or next step will emerge.
it sounds simple, maybe too simple.
He acknowledges that. Truth often is simple. We complicate it with our thinking. The struggle is normal. The key is catching ourselves and remembering this simpler way is always available.
But living this way, focusing on non-thinking, trusting intuition, it can feel weird, right? Unfamiliar.
Definitely. Humans are often uncomfortable with uncertainty, and this path involves stepping into the unknown, trusting something beyond the logical mind. So obstacles do come up.
Like what? What kind of thoughts try to pull you back?
You might start feeling peaceful, and a thought pops in. This is wrong. I should be worrying. Or I'm being lazy. I need to be busy and stressed to be productive.
The ego fighting back.
That's how he frames it, yeah. The thinking mind, the ego, wants control. It prefers the familiar pain of thinking over the unfamiliar peace of non-thinking, because the known feels safer, even if it hurts.
But the truth he keeps pointing to is that we're actually more effective, more creative when we're happy and in that state of flow or non-thinking.
Absolutely. Time works differently. Solutions appear more easily. You attract better experiences. It requires faith, though.
Faith in what?
Faith that things are working out, even if you can't see how. Trusting the universe, trusting your intuition, seeing challenges as lessons, not failures. Faith in the unknown, because that's where the possibilities are.
So it's a choice, really. Stay stuck in the familiar suffering of thinking.
Or step into the freedom and possibility of the unknown, guided by non-thinking and intuition.
And it's okay to fall back into thinking. That's going to happen.
Totally normal. He stresses not beating yourself up about it. That's just more thinking. The practice is simply noticing, gently, without judgment. Ah, there's thinking again. That awareness is the way back.
And all that energy we save from not constantly thinking.
Could be channeled into those inspired goals. He suggests practical things, too, like morning routines to intentionally start the day at a non-thinking state, building momentum.
And the environment audit. That sounded useful.
Yeah, looking at your physical space, your digital habits, what things trigger stressful thinking. How can you create an environment that supports peace and non-thinking? It's about setting yourself up for success.
He also applies it to habits, right? Destructive ones.
Briefly, yes. The idea is awareness first, really observing the habit, then identifying the feeling that triggers it. And when that feeling arises, applying these principles, creating space, letting the underlying thinking settle instead of acting out the habit.
Okay, so bringing it all together, the core message is really simple but profound.
It really is. Thinking is the root of our psychological suffering. Peace, love, joy. That's our natural state, revealed when thinking quiets down. You're always fundamentally just one thought away from peace.
And we don't need to find it outside ourselves or through complex methods. It's already here.
Exactly. We are already whole, already love, already joy. We just forget when we get lost in our thinking. Suffering is the experience of that forgetting.
So the practice is just remembering, becoming aware, letting the thinking settle again and again.
Yes. And the more you reside in that space of non-thinking, the more room there is for insights, creativity, intuition.
Yeah.
The miracles he talks about just show up. Others will notice the shift in you too, that natural radiance.
It's not just an idea, but an experience waiting for us.
In any moment, yeah.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. If our natural state really is joy and peace, and it's just our thinking that temporarily covers it up, what simple moment of awareness could you practice today? Just one small chance to notice your thinking, let it settle for a second, and feel what's underneath.